One second. Let me share. Actually, I didn't post it. Yeah. So are you able to see my screen? That JS bin output. Yeah. Okay, fine. Today in this session, so let's start the session. I don't know, so all of them joined or not. Let's see. Okay, let's leave it. So we'll start the session. Today what we are trying to learn is, so we will learn today the objects thing. Yesterday we have seen about the basics of the objects, nothing but object creation and all those things. We have seen it. Let's try to see once again. So in the previous session, what we have learned all about the array methods and all those things. And I hope that you have checked all those remaining array methods also. I don't want to go deep into that one. Let's move on to the another topic, that is nothing but objects. In JavaScript, objects plays a very important role. So in this session, you will try to understand that how much objects plays a very important role in JavaScript. Let's try to see it. Yesterday, we have already learned about this object creation. That is nothing but the basic object creation. How we will create an object. That is nothing but where person is equal to. So we'll use these flower brackets, braces or something like that. And in every object you will have a key value pair separated by a comma. So key value pair means name. So you will have with the name Leela. Okay. And another one you will have age, something like 30. So like this you will be able to have, so all the things which you want to mention about the details of a person. So you will be adding like this key value pair. So this is nothing but a person thing. So now let's try to use this one. So for example, let's try to use console.log of person. So if you want to print this person, if you want to print this person, if you try to see it, you will be able to see that it is of type object and it has the value key value pair something like age and name. So we are able to see this one. So this is the basic thing. Now if you want to access a single property in this object, means you will use something like person.name. These are all the things we already seen. Just I will try to explain you this one. Okay. And the another thing what you want to do is, so if you want to check the type of a person, so what is the type of a person means, you can see like this something like object. So this is an object. So that means this person is of type object, whereas array is also an object also. So you have already seen. So we have only one type of reference thing, that is nothing but an object, where array is an object and also this object is an object itself. So this is of type reference type. Now let's say that I want to access this person.name, right? We have already yesterday we have seen about this type of person also. So type of person. Okay, type of person.name. If you try to see this one, so this is nothing but string. So that means person is of type object, whereas the keys, each keys holds the different type of data types. We have already seen about these things. Now not only the numeric, and also for example if I try to show you console.log of person.name and also console.log of person.age. Okay, so if I try to check this type of and also this type of, so both of these things has a type of string and a number. So that means we can understand that object holds the multiple data types. So key value pairs can have multiple data types. Now if you try to see here, so that means I can use something like user details like this. I can keep, and I can use again another object, and I can use location of type Hyderabad, anything, and hobbies. So we have already seen about this one. Sports, something like this. So if you want to add get something like this, anything. So this is how we can mention this like this. So we can also use like this. So now if I try to see the output, sorry. So if I try to see the output, so we are able to see this is an entire object. Now name key has a data type of string, age has a data type of number, user details, this key has a data type of object again, and inside this object location has a string, and hobbies again it is of type array. That is nothing but the data type of this one is an object. Now let's say try to see that I want to access the location in this object. So normally what we can do is console.log person dot user details dot location. Okay, if I want to access this location, I can use it like this. So now we got it as Hyderabad. Okay, so now in order to access the data, what we need to do is object name dot that key name dot. If it is an object again, dot like this, you need to go on. So this is how we will be traversing in the object if you have the keys name available. Now, for example, let's say that I will try to show you another method, something like person.name. So we can also call like this person.name, and also we can also call something like person.log person of name. So we can also use this type of notation also. This is also same, and this one is also same. If you try to see, you will be able to see the two outputs as the same thing only. Person.name is also same, so this is also okay calling, this one is also okay. But when we need to call this type and when we need to call this type, so here when we need to call this one is, for example, let's say that instead of using dot, I will try to use like this. Okay, so now is this one correct? Is this one correct means now if I try to see the output, so you are getting it as undefined. So what it is trying to see is here is person of name means it is searching for the name as a variable. It is searching for that any variable is existing with that name or not. So now for example, if you have any dynamic key, something like you have a key available name and you want to check and you want to use this key variable, that means we cannot use it something like dot key. Okay, if you use something like dot key, this dot key means it will search for any key variable is available or not. So it will search for like this. So it's a key, something like this, it will search for this one. So where any key is available in this object or not, it will search for that one. Whereas if you try to use like this key, if you try to use this one, now instead of searching the key here, with the name key, it will search for the variable. Now it is available, that key. Now it will print, it will take this name, that means person.name. Now it will print as Leela. Now if you try to see the output, it will print as Leela. Or otherwise, if you try to take this key like this, now what will happen is instead of typing this one as Leela, it will try to print it as key. So now you need to understand that whenever you are trying to use this, what I can say like this, when you are trying to use this one means if you want, you can use it like this, or otherwise. So if you have a dynamic key variable, so that dynamic key, that way any variable is holding that key value means that key pair means, then you need to use it like this. You should not use it something like dot key. Okay, so this is the different ways of calling the object value in a JavaScript. So that is the only thing. So whenever a key is dynamic means you need to use it like this. Now another thing what I want to tell you is, for example, let's say that instead of having this user details, I have kept something like user -details. Okay, now if we have a key something like we are having a special character something like hyphen like this. So when you are having this one like this, so we should not use this one like this. So we should not we should not add the key like this. So you should enclose it with a single quotes. Okay, we should enclose it with a single quotes. Whenever you are having a special characters in this key value means you should enclose that one with a single quote or a double quote, anything. So here also you can encode it with a single quotes, not a problem. But we know that here we are not having any special characters. So the shorthand notation which we can do is without using the single notation, single quotes we can enclose it. But whereas if you are having hyphen like this means, so you need to use something like single quote notation. Now you are having user -details. Now let's try to see that whether I can call it like this or not. Okay, now if you try to call like this, now what will happen? Let's see. So you are getting that error. So what is the reason you are getting error is So now you are trying to do person.user minus details. Okay, so the concepts what we have learned, you need to understand that it is trying to do the subtraction between the person.user and the here. So for example, let's try to say that so we have a name, and if you have a detail something like this. Okay, so now person dot what is that I have written? Person dot name. We'll try to do person dot name hyphen details. Okay, so we are trying to call it like this, means now it will try to do that person dot name is Leela minus SDSD, like this it will try to do it. Now you will get an AND. Why? Because so these two are these two are different, right? Or otherwise if we will try to do it 10 and 2, let's try to do it. So now it will try to do 8. So this is how it will behave. So don't think that name hyphen details, so you can give it something like dot. So in this scenario you need to use so the notation like this. Okay, so name hyphen details, if you try to print again, you are getting an object. That name hyphen details holds an object. You are getting location, hobbies and all those things. So this is all about the object declaration and the different ways of using the object keys and all those things. Okay, so hope you understood about this one. And also not only this thing, we can also use let's say that welcome function. So I can use something like this function notation also. Sorry. So here I can use this console.log. So welcome, I can use something like this. And if I want to use that one, I can use something like person.welcome. So I can use person.welcome. So I can use this person.welcome. Now we are able to call this one. So now you need to use this open and close parenthesis. Why? Because as this one is a function. So if I try to use without parenthesis, means it will try to print the function data. That's it. So we are not using the console, right? So that is the reason. So if you use this one, it will execute the output and it will try to print it. Now you are getting this console.log. So you can use a function, you can use any type of data inside an object. So we have used string number. So here it should be string. So let's move on to the old thing. String number object, and inside the object we have used an array and also a function we have used it. So this is the basic introduction of this object, how we will use the object thing. So and also one thing you need to use that. So whenever you're using hyphens and all those things, means so you need to enclose it with the double quotes or the single quotes, and also you need to use the square bracket of first name, something like that, or otherwise it will do the subtraction. So the common thing. So most of the times we will try to avoid using the hyphens and all those things. So if it comes with, so how to handle the situation, we will use this one. Okay, so now this is about the basic object introduction. Now in object, so we have seen about the object introduction. So object introduction, not introduction. So just I am saying you that so object, how we can use these objects, I am trying to say. Next one, what we will try to see is, we will try to see another one, this keyword. So what is this keyword? Let's try to see it. So now, so let's try to see it, this keyword. So now let's try to see this object, this. Let's say that 1 second. Let's say that we are having an object, this keyword. It's very simple only. So we are having a person. So let's say we again will go to a person. We have a name, something like Leela. Okay, and we have a welcome. I will tell you very simply. So welcome function, and I will try to use this console.log welcome Leela. Okay, so I have used this one. So this is the object. simple object. So now what I can do is, so I will try to do person dot welcome. I will try to call this method person dot welcome. So now what I am trying to do, so here I am having an object person dot welcome, I'm trying to call it. So if I try to see the output, so we are able to see it, welcome Leela. So fine, it's correct. But we know that this name is already present Leela. Instead of using this one, so we can use this name. How we can use this one is, you already know about this one, so we can use this person dot name. Why? Because it is existing in this person dot name, right? So we can use this person dot name. Not a problem, it will work. It will work, not a problem. Now let's say that we have a function outside welcome. Okay, so this is a common function, and this one will do something like console.log welcome plus person dot name. Okay, so this is the method we are having. So instead of having this one, so I can use something like this welcome. Okay, so this I am referring the, I am just moving the function outside this one, so I'm using like this. So this welcome represents this welcome. So now if I try to see the output, yeah, we are able to see the same output. Okay, so now let's say that we are having another person, where another person. Okay, so here you will be having as a name something like Krishna. Okay, so we use the welcome for this guy also. We will use the same code. Why? Because so instead of duplicating this one, we can use the same code. Okay, or otherwise let's say that, so don't get confused. I think people are getting confused. I think, I don't know. So let's say that I'm having a function here. So I will use something like another person dot name. So here in this welcome, I can use a function something like person dot name. Okay. So this is how we'll be doing. So now we are having two objects with name person and another person, and we are calling person dot welcome. So you can able to see that welcome Leela. And if I try to use something like another person dot welcome, so if I try to call another person dot welcome, now if you try to see the output, you'll be able to see welcome Krishna. Now the implementation of this function, both the functions are one and the same only. So we are able to see that it is printing something like welcome. That object's name, it is trying to print it. So whichever the person's object it belongs to, the name of that person, it is trying to print it. So why can't we separate this function? So like this. So previously a function I have separated, right? So I will use a function something like function welcome. Okay, and if I try to use this one, so I can copy this person dot name here at the top, and I can use this welcome here. Okay, so I can use this welcome here. 1 second, I will come. So now what is the thing we have did it here? Sorry, I'm back. So here I am doing person is equal to name Leela, and also I am using this, I am reusing this function welcome, and here we are having another person, and we are using the same function welcome. So it's correct only. But if I try to use this one, so we are able to see that person dot welcome is printing welcome Leela. Is fine, correct. Whatever thing it is trying to do, it's correct only. But when I'm trying to print another person dot welcome, it is instead of printing welcome Krishna, it is printing as welcome Leela only. So this is not the expected behavior. This is not behavior. So that means when you are trying to use the function, this function has to use that particular object's name only instead of using this person dot name. So it is using for every function, for every object inside this one, it is using this like this, right? Instead of this one, what we can do is, so here you can use this this refers to that keyword, this key object. Okay, this dot name means it will take this name. So now if I try to print this one, so you'll be able to see that welcome Krishna and welcome Leela. So that means the function we have divided it separately, so that when we are trying to add this function inside this one, so now this dot name refers to that object. So whichever the function is declared inside this one, so it will accept this name. So this is how we will be using. For example, here also you can use it. So function I can use, and I can console.log So I can write welcome is dot name. Okay, so this is this dot name, I can use it. So this is also the same output, you will get it. So this one, instead of duplicating the code, so we have separated that function to a separate thing, so that we can reuse that code. So I can use this like this. So this is the usage of this in the object. So whenever you are using this in an object, inside an object, means it is referring to this keyword. So this is the what I can say, this is about this keyword in the object. So we have seen about the object introduction, about this keyword, right? Let's try to see about the another thing, that is nothing but another way of creating an object. So we have seen all these things, something like where person is equal to, so name Leela, you have seen. Okay, so location also you have seen. So now this is a normal person, so age 30 we have seen. So this is a normal person object, the declaring an object. This is a normal declaration. Now let's try to see another way of declaring an object in a JavaScript. So another way of declaring an object is nothing but, so I can take where another person. So I will take add another person. So you can use this new object. Okay, so you can use this new object. So what is this new keyword and all those things, while going on you will understand. So this is a new object. So we can create something like this new object. I can have something like another person is equal to Leela. Okay, another person dot name, sorry, another person dot name Leela, and another person dot age is equal to same thing. So same thing I will try to add it. Okay, so same thing I will try to add it. Now if I try to print this another person, so console.log another person. So if I try to do this console.log another person, let's try to see the output. So now we are able to see this object age 30 and name Leela. Let's try to print this console.log of person. So if I try to see this one, so now we are able to see that both objects are of the same type only. So that means we can declare the object like this, and also we can declare an object like this also. So now let's try to see that whether these both objects are equal or not. Why? Because these both are holding the same values, right? Age of 30 and name Leela, age of 30 and name Leela. Now let's try to see that both objects are equal or not. So let's try to do it. Console.log another person is, what is this here? Keyboard person. Let's try to see it. So now another person is equal to this person or not. Let's try to see it. So if I try to see this one, it is coming as false. So what is the reason is, we know that the object is of type reference data type. So we know that object is of type reference data type. And now here we have created an object. So now if we try to see that, we have already seen, I think. So I will try to open that paint. Oh, are they right? So now here we have created a person. So we have for person. So we have created an object. So that means the object will be in this one. So with the name and age, you will have like this. And this memory location is assigned to a person. You will have a person variable here. And you will have the reference pointer. And we have created another person. So the implementation, so we creating the object, we have used the another type of implementation, but the creation object will be same only. So it has created another thing, the same details, and it has a memory location with a variable another person. So like this. Okay, so this one holds the another person, this variable, and this has another reference pointer, this reference pointer. So this has something like x001 or something like this, or 0xx2 or something like this. This has a memory location. And now if you try to see, now I am trying to check that whether this variable is equal to this variable or not. I am trying to see it. 1 second. Hello. So now we are able to see that we are trying to check that whether this variable is equal to this variable or not. So this variable is not will never be equal to this variable. Why? Because the data it is having is a pointer is different, and this variable, the holding pointer, is different. So because of that reason, we are getting an false thing. So that way, whether the values are equal or not also, but the pointer for the what I can say, the person, this pointer and this another person pointer is different. So because of that reason, we're able to get that another person is equal to it is not false. So this is of the reference types. We have already seen that objects are of different reference types. Because of that reason, both are not equal. So this is another way of creating an object. So if you want to use, this is the shorthand notation. Normally what we'll try to do is, so we will try to use new object and all those things if you want. So you can use it like this. So this is another way. Now we will see another way of creating an object again. So this one has a meaning for that one. Let's say that I am having that person. So let's try to create this shorthand notation only. So that is nothing but name Leela. Okay. So this is a normal person. So we know that. Now I will try to create something like where another person. So the same name I am using. Now instead of using this new object, I will try to use object dot create. Okay, object dot create, and you will have a method like this. So inside this one, we will pass it as null. Okay, we will pass it as null. So don't you? So I will try to explain you what is that null thing. Now I am using another person dot location. Let's say that it is US. Okay. So now let's try to print the console.log of another person. Okay, I am using console.log of another person. Let's try to see the output. If I try to see the output, we know that so another person, we have created an object and we have added only the one key, that is nothing but location of type US. So we are able to see that this is of type location US. Now what I will try to do is I will try to access the name another person.name. So what could be the output here? We try to see the output. So we know that it is undefined. Why? Because so for this another person object, we haven't assigned a key with the name. If I try to see the same thing, console.log person.name. Now this guy will have a Leela. Now what I will try to do is, so now here instead of having the null, I will try to add this person here. Okay. Now what I will try to do is console.log another person. So I will try to print this another person. So if I try to print here, so we are able to see that location and name, so both are coming for this another person. Now if I try to use this another person dot name, now we are able to get this one as a Leela. So but here another person, so we haven't used this one. So for example, we haven't declared for another person dot name something like this another person. So we haven't declared, but we are able to get that value. So now I haven't assigned it like this. Now if I try to assign it like this, now you will get a value of Leela232 something like this. So if I haven't assigned this one, so it is taking it from the person. So that means this another person is inheriting the details from the person. So that means person is a parent and another person is a child. So this is how the inheritance thing works in the objects in a JavaScript. So this is one kind of inheritance. Okay. And now if you try to see this person, what is this person called as for this another person? So now we have a two variables, something like another person. Okay. And we have another variable, something like person. Oh, object, not variables, object. So now another person is a child and person is a parent. Now person is a prototype for this another person. Okay. So now you need to understand that person is a prototype for this another person. Okay. So now here you need to understand that person is a prototype. So here the prototypes are nothing but the inherited prototypes is nothing but what I can say is inherited. So it will be inheriting from this object. So this is nothing but the prototypes. So I am telling you that about the prototype. So whenever you are using object.create of null means, so now you are not creating any prototypes for this one. So whenever you want to add a prototype means nothing but whenever you want to inherit an object to another object means, so you will inherit that object into this one. Now this person will become a prototype for this another person. So you need to understand that the definition of the prototypes is nothing but the inherited object is nothing but a prototype for this another person. So this is the basic definition for this prototype. Prototypes are generally a kind of inheritance that is available in the JavaScript. So we'll try to learn more about this prototypes thing. So just you need to understand that prototypes are nothing but an inheritance for an object. That's it. Now you need to understand that another thing is for every object you will have a prototype. Okay, for every object you will have a prototype. So you need to check it. So for example, let's say that I am having this object, okay, where person name. So now if I try to say that console.log person.age, if I am trying to check person.age, you know that this age doesn't exist in this object. But if I try to see here output, so we are getting it as undefined. It's perfect. Now what I will try to do is I will try to do some random thing, something like console.log of person dot random function. I will try to call some random function. So which this function doesn't exist. So now if you try to execute, so we are able to say that this is not a function. So why? Because this person doesn't have any random function. So if you try to declare it something like random function, here function means, then you will not get any error. If you try to do the console.log also, so if you try to do the console.log also, so you are able to get it output. So fine. So if it doesn't exist means it is throwing an error. Okay. Now I will try to do something to string. I will try to use that to string. Now let's try to see the output. So now this to string we haven't declared in this person, right? So we have it. We don't have a method something like to string, but we are able to see some output something like object. So from where this output is coming. So to string from where this this output is coming is, so this person is an object, right? So this person has a prototype of object, okay, global object. This is called as a global object. So for that person, so it will be having a global object, okay. So global object. So for every object you need to understand that for every object you have a prototype that is nothing but a global object. So this global object, the JavaScript defines this global object and it has some method something like toString and all those things. So this global object, now you know that this person has a prototype that is nothing but an object. So now you can create a function something like object dot prototype dot random function. So you can use this random function is equal to function, and I can use this console.log hi Leela or something like this. I am using some code. So now what I am trying to do in the same scenario, so the global JavaScript engine, so it will have a function something like object dot prototype dot toString. It will have a function, so it will display this function. This will display this output. So in the same scenario, instead of having this random function in this function, I am declaring this function in the object prototype. Okay, so in this object prototype. Now if you try to see the output, so random function. Now if you try to see the output, so what will be the output for this one? So we are able to see this hi Leela, but random function is not defined in this person, but in this prototypes, objects prototypes, I have implemented this one. So this is how the prototypes behaves. Now it will how it will try to do is it will try to check in the person's thing, so whether this function is existing or not. It will try to check in its prototype. So in this prototypes is nothing but this object. So in this object prototype, I have declared this function. So now it is trying to take it from here. So if you have a random function here, again, so console.log child, if I try to do it, now if you try to see the output, now the output will become child, not welcome Leela. Why? Because the random function itself, instead of going into this person's prototype, it is able to find it here only. So that is the meaning of these prototypes. Okay, so I think I don't know so that whether you people understood or not, but this is the thing you need to understand. So now whatever the thing I want to tell you is every object, so that means every object means nothing but whether it may be a person or another person or anything, person or another person or anything. has a prototype of object. Okay, prototype of object. So this is the thing you need to understand it. Now what I will try to do is another thing, something like we have used this where person is equal to object dot create of null. We have used something like this, right? So now we have created person dot name is equal to Leela, and I will have some another person, something like where employee or something like this. So I will represent with another notation, something like name Leela 1 or something like this. So these are the two different types of objects. Now we know that I have already told you that every object, so that means every person prototype, every person or employee, every object declaration, so we'll have a prototype of main object. So main object, some main object has some set of functions and all those things in that one. So toString is one method. So now if I try to do console.log employee dot toString, I will try to do this one. So whether it will work or not, so it will work it. So not a problem. So we are able to get that string representation of this one. So that means this function is existing. Actually, this is not existing in this employee. It is existing in its parent thing. So that is nothing but object. So this one's parent is an object's prototype. So find that one, it is existing. Now let's try to see for this one. This is also an object, right? So if we try to print this console.log person, if we try to see the output, so this is also an object. So now this one also has a prototype of a parent of object. So now let's try to see that person.toString. Now if I try to see the output, we are getting an error that person.toString is not a function. So that means it is telling that, so forget about this employee thing. Now it is telling that person.toString, it is, you are getting an error that it is not a function. So what is the reason it is, what is the reason you are getting? So person is also an object, but toString it is telling that it is not defined. So here you need to understand that whenever you are trying to create an object using this method, you are telling that it should not inherit anything from parent. So you are telling it as null. So because of that reason, so you are getting, for example, let's try to do it, that one you will get confused. So now, so object, whenever I am trying to I am telling that don't inherit from anything. So that means it will try to take what are the functions available in this one only. So here that is the reason you are getting toString. Whereas this employee, this is a shorthand notation. That is nothing but new object, these things. So like this you are trying to do it, the shorthand notation. So here you will be able to see about this one. So for this one you will be having a parent of object. This is the difference between this object.create and the shorthand notation of this one, and also a new object. Okay, so this is about the concept of the prototype. So let's go a little bit deeper into these prototypes. I will not go much deeper, so let's try to see it. So now let's say that I have a where person name of type Leela. Okay, so I have this one. Now what I want to try to do is where Krishna, okay, or otherwise another person will try to. I don't know whether your names are getting confusing or not, but still try to understand it. So I am using object.create, I am using null. So here I am using another person dot age is equal to 30. Okay, so I will try to use this console.log of person, and I will try to use it console.log of another person. So we have checked this one. So now we already checked this one. So we are able to get that this object and this one is having like this. Now let's try to use this person. So I am inheriting the details of this one. So now if I try to see the output, so this one has a name of Leela and this one has the details of this one, parent thing, and also this one. So now let's try to see that. Okay, let's try to see that what I can say is prototype comparison. So we'll try to see this one. So whether this what I can say, the thing what we are trying to do. So person and another person, we are trying to use this one, right? So let's try to see that whether we are able to see this one or not. So I don't get confused. So let's say that we are having let's say where person only we are having. Okay, So I am creating something like Leela. Let's say that Leela. I am creating a person for this one. So how can I say that one? So let's say that where Krishna. So I am having another one, or otherwise another object. Let's take whatever thing it is. So object dot create. I don't want to confuse you. I am still taking this one from this one. So now we are having two objects with name Leela and another object. So these both are inheriting from the person. So now let's try to check that console.log. I am doing another object. Okay, another object. So for this one, I want to check the prototype. So now, for example, let's say that another objects. So this one's prototype is nothing but a person. Okay. So for checking this one, so you want to get the proto. So like this, you need to use proto. Okay, objects proto. So what is this one I am trying to check? So another object's prototype. So another object means nothing but this one. So otherwise you can take Leela also, not a problem. So Leela's prototype is equal to person or not. I want to check it. So that is the only thing, right? What we have did it. So this Leela's prototype means Leela's parent prototype. So we will call it as a prototype. Is person or not? I want to check it. So if it is correct or not, let's try to check it. So we are getting it as true. So that means it's correct. So what we are trying to do? So Leela, we have a prototype or nothing but parent. So we will call it as prototype. So prototype is person or not? I want to check it. So we are getting it as person. It's true. Now what I want to do is console.log Leela dot proto. Try to understand it. Dot underscore proto. I am trying to use it. Okay. So underscore proto. So that means Leela's proto is person, and up to here it got a person, and I am checking again a proto. So person's proto is nothing but an object. I am trying to check that person dot proto. So it is correct or not? I want to check it. So I am trying to checking that Leela is nothing but this one. Proto means nothing but a person, and its proto means person's proto is object. So I am checking that it's a person's dot proto. It's correct or not. You're able to get it as true. It's very simple only, but don't get confused. So true. I am trying to check it. So that means Leela's proto is nothing but an object only. Okay, is nothing but an object. That's it, right? So person as an object. So is nothing but an object only. If we try to check this one, so we are getting it as false. So it is actually, it's not an object. So if you try to mention that one, what we are trying to do, object dot prototype dot hello is equal to function. So we are mentioning it like this. We cannot declare an object like this. So we can use its prototype. So something like console.log. So hello. So we are using this one. So that means, so we are using objects prototype. So that means we need to write something like object dot prototype. Okay. So now Leela's proto means nothing but object prototype. Is an object prototype or not? If we try to check this one, now this one is a true. So this is how we will be checking the prototype. So this is how the prototypes will be having. So now we should not use this prototype and prototype, these things. So some browsers supports this proto functionality. Some browsers doesn't support. So some browsers support this prototype functionality. Okay. So functionality, not functionality, this property. So we should not use this one. What I can say is in the browser. So some browsers will support it. Instead of this one, you can support something like, oh sorry, it is this. Yeah, this keyboard is really for me. Yeah. So instead of this one, I can use something like console.log object dot get prototype. So, get prototype. Sorry, prototype. Getting prototype of. So this is the method we need to use it. Actually, it will support in all the browsers. Get prototype of Leela. So there is nothing but where is this one? Leela dot proto. Okay, is equal to person or not? I am trying to check that person. Okay, so I am trying to check that is equal to person or not. If I try to check this one, so we are getting it as true. So this one also we can check. Like this we can check it. It will work in all the browsers. So now just for time for showing you that how the prototypes work, I am checking this like this scenarios. So this is how actually it will work. So did you understand this one comparison thing? So are you able to understand? Any doubts is there up to here? I don't know, so whether you people are understood or not. Little bit of confusion will be there. So nothing, so you need to understand that. Why? Because we need to jump into another concept. So that is the reason I'm trying to tell you. So you need to understand is nothing but prototypes is nothing but inheritance. Okay, inheritance for an object. Every object has a prototype, that is nothing but a main object. So but in order to not get the main object, we'll use this object dot create thing. Now let's try to move on the another topic, that is nothing but another way of creating, the powerful way of creating an objects, that is nothing but using the constructor functions. So this is the last way how we can do it. These are the different ways how we can create a prototypes and an object. Let's say that, so this one will be very familiar if you are coming from object oriented thing. So you will understand it very easily. So now let's try to say that we are having a function. Okay, I'm having a person. Same thing, I'll try to do it. So this is an empty person, let's say that. Now I want to create a person, or otherwise Leela, new person. So this guy is a new person. So I am creating it like this. Okay, let's try to print this Leela. So what is the thing I have did is, so I have a function, created an empty function with name person, and I have created a variable, and I am using new person. So now you will be able to understand what is this new object means. You will have an method something like in our JavaScript thing. So you will have a function object like this. So you will create it like this new object. So previously we have created, right? Now I have created a function. Now this guy is having a new person, and I am trying to take this. So let's try to see the output. Now we are able to get this one as an object, but this doesn't have any data. So let's leave it. So now what I will try to do here, I will try to do Leela.name is equal to Leela. Like this I will try to. Now if I try to use this one, so we are able to get that as name Leela. So now let's try to check that what is the prototype of this person. So we'll try to check this prototype of this person again. So person means nothing but Leela. So Leela dot proto. What is the prototype of this Leela? So you know that this is a person, right? So this is a person, new person we are creating. So for this one we are having a person. So you can expect it that you will be having a object. So it doesn't have anything. So this Leela is created from this function. This person has a prototype of object, you can think it of. So let's try to take it as object dot prototype. Okay, so let's try to check it. So you will get false. So what is the reason you are getting it is, so this for this Leela, the prototype is not directly the object. So what is this one is, let's try to check that whether this one is a prototype for this one or not. Let's try to do console.log Leela dot underscore proto is equal to person. Person means that is that function. So whether this one is not or not. So this one also you will get it as false. So that means for this Leela, the prototype of this Leela is neither an object or this person. So what is this prototype for this one? So what is the prototype for this one? So then you can say that, so for this one, so Leela dot underscore proto is equal to person dot prototype. Okay, so this is the proto for this function. If I try to check the output, now we are able to get this one is also as a false. Why you are getting? Okay, we are not using this one underscore. You are getting it as true now. Okay, so now this is for this function. When you are creating a new person, for this one the prototype is nothing but the prototype of this person. Okay, and for this prototype, so that one is that one is an object. Okay, the direct prototype for this one is, so that is not an object, that is a person. So this is called as something like prototype chaining. So we'll call it as prototype chaining. So Leela's proto is nothing but person's proto, and this person's proto is nothing but an object. So this is called as a chaining. It will go on chaining. So deep inheritance, it will go on multiple inheritance like this. So now this one is called as, so this is how you will be trying to do it. For example, let's say that So don't think of something like this. So I will tell you very clearly. Now you are having Leela is equal to new person. So now you can check that. So nothing but, so in our thing, so in our object oriented programming, think of this one as a blueprint. So think of this one as a blueprint, and we have created. So think of this one as a class. Blueprint means nothing but a class. Class consists of list of methods and all those things. Okay. So now here you have created an object for this one. Now you can check that in such a way that console.log Leela instance of person or not. So you can check it like this also. So now Leela is an instance of this person or not. I want to check. So whether it is true or not, it is true. Why? Because so this is an instance. We have created an instance for this function, right? So now in the overall way, I don't know whether you have covered this object-oriented programming or not. So in overall way, what I can say is, so this function way of representing an object will create in a such a way that, so I will create a new person. So new person, and here I will be having like this, and I can have something like this dot name is equal to, so I can create a set of properties inside this one, and I can create this dot welcome is equal to, so I can create a function, so set of methods and the properties, so I can use welcome. So now I can call console.log Leela.welcome. I can use it like this. Now what is the thing it is happening here is, so simple thing. Yeah. So what is the thing it is happening here is, if you try to see the output, so we are able to get this welcome as the output. So this is not returning any value. That is the reason we are getting undefined. So leave it. So now what we are having, this function is nothing but a blueprint of this function. It consists of a set of properties and a methods. So same thing. Class definition is also. So class is nothing but a set of consists of a set of properties and a methods. So this is nothing but the function is also having set of properties and also a methods, in which when you are instantiating this person, so now you can use this like this, right? So now let's say that I have Leela and I have another variable, something like where Krishna. So we can create how many instance we can create it. This keyboard is really nice. So new person, I am creating this new person. So now we have a two instances, that is nothing but Leela and a Krishna. Now let's try to say that console.log Leela.welcome, or otherwise Leela.name. So I want to check the name of this guy, and I want to do something like console.log Krishna is there, right? The object, I want to check the name of this guy. So now what is the output I want to get it? So if I try to see, I'm getting both of guys as Leela only. So what is the problem? So here I want to change this person's guy name as Krishna instead of Leela. So what is happening here is, so we have created a new object for this one, and whenever you create a new object for this one, so the property name Leela has been assigned, and also a function and also a method has been assigned to this one. So now both of these one has an access to this property and a method, but the property is a fixed one, static one, that is nothing but Leela. If you want to send that one, so what I can do is, here I can change something like Krishna dot name is equal to Krishna. I can use it. Okay. So now if I try to check this name, so now you are getting an output of Krishna. But this one is so not that much of nice way of implementation, right? So what you can do is, you can pass arguments to this function. Okay, you can pass arguments to this function, something like name. Now here you can use this name directly here. Now whenever you are creating this one, now you can send name of this guy Leela, and here you can say send the name of this guy as Krishna. Okay, now if you want to check this guy, so now we are able to get it. This is also one way of implementing this function. Okay, now let's say that toString. So if I want to check the toString, so whether it will exist or not. So this is the question for you. So it will exist. Why? Because this function is a nothing but this prototype. This Leela has a prototype of this person's prototype, and this person has a prototype of object prototype. Okay, so like this you need to understand it. This is all about this. What I can say is a prototype concept. So I think, hope you understood or not, I don't know. So these are the things. So here let's try to say that objects. So we have seen the objects introduction. Okay, and we have seen the different ways of creating an object. Okay, different ways of creating an object. What is different ways of creating object? That is nothing but shorthand notation with the flower brackets, and we have used new object, and we have used this object dot create. So whenever you want to use this object dot create, you need to remember that it will not inherit anything. So if you give the null thing. And another one is the functional prototype. So we use this function type of implementation of this prototypes. So these are the 4 different types which we have implemented the objects. And also we have seen the prototypes. Prototypes is nothing but inheritance. Okay, so these are the concepts which we have learned today. And also we have learned another one is the instance. So how the instance of will works in this one. So we have seen the implementation of this function also. So how it will be in the object oriented. So it's kind of object oriented. So which implements something like object based thing, so not object oriented. So you will have the that is why JavaScript is entirely is a functional programming. Everything we'll try to use it through the functions only. So this is all about this object prototypes. Are you able to understand this one? Do you have any doubts in this one?